Okay, so now we have tape. I'll just take a couple pieces and just secure the part. You don't really have to secure it so much because once you solder 2 pins on this part, the part is already secured, then you can remove the tape. Okay, so now this is actually taped on pretty well. And I can drop in a few more parts, but we already have quite a few of these pins on the bottom. So let's just try to solder these first. And let's just turn this around. And first make sure the soldering iron is hot enough. We'll just test that by melting the solder. Don't use too much solder to try to see if it melts. Well, that does. Okay. And just burn the soldering iron tip to one of these pins. Heat up a few seconds and burn the solder in from the other side. So if you make a good soldering joint, it will actually look pretty good on the close-up. Although we're not really doing close-up yet, but if you actually didn't do a good enough job, it looks like a Kisses chocolate. So the bottom will actually kind of taper, and instead of wetting the entire board. Okay, so as you can see, I'm already getting a little obstructed by all those pins. So you don't really have to secure a lot of pins at a time. Just do a few of them at a time. Okay. Alright, like this pin over here gets a little bit obstructed. I think I was able to get there. Okay, so don't really need a lot of solder, just a little bit of work. Okay, so now the socket, just pick 2 corners, opposite corners. Okay. Make sure you're patient enough to heat up the solder pad. Especially some of the pads are connected to the entire board. They'll take a little longer to heat up. Okay, so now we have everything secured, and I can't wait to cut all these pins. Make sure you wear eye protection, since you could fly at your eyes. Okay, we can trim this a little better after we're all done. So now we'll just go ahead and solder all the pins off the socket. It's best that the solder doesn't touch the iron directly, but it touches the part that's going to be soldered, and if that part is hot enough, it'll melt the solder. This pin is probably hard to solder because it's connected to the entire copper backplane. Takes a little longer to heat up. The rest of them are pretty easy. Okay, so now we're done with these several parts, and you can look at them to make sure that you didn't miss any of the connections, and just save the tape for the next part. Okay, so let's see what else we want to put on this circuit board. We can decide to put the resistor here. Here is a variable resistor or potentiometer, and a few capacitors. So this one here is a potentiometer with 3 pins. Drops in like this, and again flip it around. Just flatten these pins so part will just stay pretty well. And for 10K resistor, okay, that is a 2K. Okay, so for the 10K resistor, you just have to bend the pin from the very end, just like this, and drop it in. And just flatten these pins. And let's see, the next one is a 41 ohm, and we actually have a 47 ohm. It doesn't really matter the exact size of this resistor. It's basically determining how bright the backlight of the resistor, the backlight of the LCD is. So this one goes in. The other side, flatten these. Let's see, we need a 330. We actually have a 280. It doesn't matter either because this is the buzzer. It just determines how loud the buzzer sounds. Just like that. Okay, well, I'm pretty sure we can put a few more pieces here. And let's go with the capacitor. Capacitor actually has polarity. These other capacitors, they don't have polarities. They're just like parallel plates. And this one is actually electrolyte, so it does have a polarity. You can see there's actually a stripe here that says negative pin, which is a shorter pin. So shorter is negative, this longer is positive. And you look at the silk screen. Silk screen actually has a negative right here. So we'll just drop the positive on the other side, negative on this side. Since we're thinking about lying the capacitor down, I'll just push up the capacitor a little bit and have it lie down. So this way we can save some space. Other side, flatten this. There's the other one, negative to right here. Okay, so this one we can have it lie down, just like that. Turn this around. Okay. Here's a diode. A diode actually has polarity. As you can see, there's actually a line here, a white stripe. It's a little hard to see without a close-up. And also the silk screen has a line here. So they should go in this way, this line here. Okay, I think we got enough parts to work on. Okay. All right. You can see some of them are slightly obstructed. Okay, can't wait to cut all the wires. Okay, so as you can see, we have a lot more parts on the board. Looks fairly good. So let's add some more parts. Okay. So this is a power supply, and it actually kind of lies down on the board. So what you want to do is you have to pre-bend these pins so that they actually fit in. And you can take a quick look here, see where you should be bending them. Basically right at these edges. So I'll just bend. So like that. And again, save the tape for this. Okay, so that's pretty good. Let's see what else is actually on the back side. There's this buzzer, and the buzzer has polarity as well. And it's a little hard to see without a close-up. There's actually a plus sign here, and the plus sign should go with the plus sign on the circuit board, which is very tiny over here. So turn this around, insert the buzzer. We need another piece of tape. that's it. Start soldering. Okay. These pins are actually slightly thicker, so they will require a little longer heating time. And let's just go for them. There we go. Okay, let's take a quick look at the back side. Well, most of the back side is actually complete, except for this row of pins. We use a trick to actually get this row of pins onto the board. Okay, here we have the 90-degree angle, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pins. So all we have to do is to break this 2, 4, 6. So now we have 6 pins, and I put the pins here like this, and take one of these Radio Shack soldering kit clippers, kind of clip over here, and make sure it doesn't really make the pins bend down too much. Okay, that's not too bad. Alright, so we'll solder these on. Again, we just need to secure the 2 pins on the side, and then we can remove that clip if we want. Not hot enough yet. Okay. Alright, so now all the parts have been soldered on the bottom of the circuit board. We should inspect them and also cut these ends as short as possible. That actually includes these, just in case. That also includes these, which need to go. Wow. I'm glad I'm wearing the goggles. Okay. That's good. Alright, so that's the entire back side. Now let's do the front side. Before that, let's clean up a little bit. Okay, so what the front side will do is the liquid crystal display will actually sit right here. That is why we have to go with the back side first, otherwise the display will cover all the pins we're going to solder. So that goes over here eventually, but we can certainly start with the these backlight pins, and also there are 3 resistors, and we decided to use 2K each. And these ones, we can certainly solder them after the display is on. We still have access to them, and also we need to put these buttons on. And these, certainly we can solder them later. So let's look at the display. The display actually has 16 pins, or 16 of them, but we only need to use 12 pins, which means we don't need to do a lot of hard work. We can still get it to work. So 6 pins, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the pin 1 side, and then there's 6 more pins on the other side, pin 16 side. And the center 4, you can leave them blank. We're not using them anyway. And the same trick applies. The Radio Shack little clip, just clip on it and just rock it a little bit, make sure it has a solid contact. And since I actually have bought 2 Radio Shack kits, I have a second clip. I'll just go ahead and clip on this other one and make sure we have a solid contact. Okay, so now we're ready to solder. I'll try to do it this way. Get the solder, make sure it's straight. Get the soldering iron. This takes longer because of the pads are bigger. So just make sure you heat it up well enough for a few seconds before you introduce solder on the left side. Now the solder is melting. Good. Okay, that's a good one. Let's go with the other one here, so we can get rid of that clip that's in the way. But not too bad. Good on this. Okay. Okay, now we got the display. And after we're done, we just want to take a look vertically down to make sure the pins are not tipped up or tipped down. Otherwise, it would be impossible to insert all these pins into the board. so make sure they're not really tipping. Looks like one of them is probably a little tipped, so I'll just wait until it gets cool enough to actually just manually bend them down a little bit. Okay, that probably is good enough. So let's do a test fit. Well, it looks like it fits. Not too bad. And you can see there's a little gap in between, and the design is such that nothing is going to touch the top LCD and the bottom plate. But just in case, you may want to insulate the bottom with black tape, just for safety. But otherwise, per design, nothing is going to touch electrically, except for those pins. So this one's ready, and let's get the other parts. Also, these resistors. And that is what I talked about. The backlight will need 2 pins, basically. As you can see, that makes a connection. Disconnects it. So just take 2 tiny pins, and they can go on top like that.